basic economic questions that we identify different economic systems as capitalist.
So that
have a nice day to you all.
Good evening, student. Still not no one. Although I just wait until 18, no one still join with the session. Until you join that, I will try to play this video. Right, that also the recording of mine. Until you join that, I just play this one.
We all are meeting again with the second sessions under the business economics. I think having the idea about the basic introduction of economics, that means what does mean by the economics, then the different branches of economics as micro and macro, then the basic fundamental concepts of economics like scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. The basic economic questions that what to produce, how to produce, and to whom to produce. So based on the answers that which are providing to resolve those basic economic questions, that we identify different economic systems as capitalist, socialist, and mixed. So that after having idea about the basic understanding about those things, today we'll move to identify the very popular topic. Right? So that if we consider about the A-level examination, that maybe if you already did your A-levels in common stream, then I think that most probably more than the 6 months that you are spending to learn this topic. So that today that I'm going to talk with you about the demand, supply, and the equilibrium. The basic learning outcomes of the today's session, that I just want to introduce you about the basic concepts of the demand, supply, and the equilibrium with the determinants. So that what are the affecting factors to determine demand, and what are the affecting factors to determine supply and the equilibrium. Then the demand and supply estimation, so that as well as the government intervention, like different tools, by using different tools like minimum and maximum pricing, the price ceiling and price floor, and the tax, imposing of taxes, and the import taxes like that. So that you have to keep in mind here, which relate to the specifically which relate to the demand and supply, then the topics which are comes under the microeconomics, like the theory of cost, then the which relate to the different market structures, and if you're concerned about the macroeconomics, the national income calculation, and ISL model. So under those topics that we should have to consider about the arithmetic calculations, not only the descriptive analysis. So the being a very interesting subject here, the economics that we are concerning, not only the descriptive part, but also the arithmetic calculations as well. So therefore that you should have to do some exercises which relate to the demand calculation, supply calculation, and find out equilibrium level of the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, and then the excess demand, excess supply, again the if we impose tax, what will happen? So likewise, you should have to have some sort of experience on arithmetic calculations as well. Then today I'm really focused about to introduce the demand and the determinants of demand, supply, and the determinants of supply, and the equilibrium. So that here actually if we consider about, as usual, the definition to be the effective demand. To be effective demand, there should be there should be two things compulsory that we should have to complete to be effective demand. That means the want and purchasing power. You know that the consumers are the demanders, right? Consumers are the demanders, and individual desires only. Individual desires for so many goods and services. Not only enough to make a demand, to make the effective demand. With the desires, you should have to have a ability to purchase. Ability to purchase. So therefore, in one aspect, there should be a real purpose, real want, or real need, as well as purchasing power to have a effective demand. So that being consumers, there may be different. There may be different desires that we have, because you know that we already have unlimited demands. So that due to different and the multiple different and multiple unlimited wants, that we, even though we satisfy one want, that will arise another. So likewise, that people may have different desires, but if we don't have enough money to purchase or to fulfill those desires, definitely there not be a effective demand, right? There not be a effective demand. Thus, say for example, if we consider about a very simple example, so that that you already have different desires to purchase different vehicles like the Lamborghini or Ferrari. So there may be different type of brands, the superior brands. But if you don't have enough money to purchase, if you are not wealthy enough to purchase those things, so then there may be not effective demand. As well as, not only that, as well as that even though maybe sometimes we already have enough money, but there may be some, you know that at the end of the year, there may be some sales. So that if you are not interested to purchase from that sales, you know that there may be shoe sales, there may be garment sales. So likewise, there are a lot of sales at the end of the year. So, but if you are not willing to purchase that sort of given goods or cheap goods, so that you will not make demand over that. Therefore, the effective demand will not happen. But you have to be remember, to be effective demand, there should be desire, as well as together with that purchasing power. Purchasing power. So therefore, consumers' desire to have a thing must be backed by his ability to pay, identified as the effective demand. Right? Effective demand. So then demand is the relationship. The demand is relationship that indicates willingness and the ability. Right? Willingness and the ability. So that possible price during a given period of time and other factors determine held constant. So the demand is a relationship. Demand is a relationship indicating the quantity of a well-defined commodity that consumers are both willing and able to purchase, able to buy under given period of time, considering other things held constant. Then what are the, so that for the, okay. Then when we consider about the demand, right? That I already gave the brief understanding about the demand. Has demand and supply. Microeconomics second session. I think that even though that there's no one is
join with the session, maybe sometimes we already reschedule the timetable, right? So that's why that, but anyway, that you will receive the recording, right? So therefore, I just continue. You can go through, right? You can go through and do the session, but that is essential that today I think that to do some sort of practical examples with you, if you were already join with this. So that because under demand and supply, we had to do some sort of calculations as well as how these theories impact on practical situations, those things that we have to take into consideration. Therefore, that if you are joined with this one, actually, that I can do the sort of examples anyway that we see after you listen this one, the second in third session, try to do some sort of calculations and examples, so that therefore today I try to give a basic understanding about the concepts. And most of the time that I think under microeconomics, the difference, we already identified difference between microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So that always microeconomics is depend on the theories like price theories, price determinations. මිල තීරණය කිරීම. මිල න්‍යාය ගැන තමයි ගොඩක් කලාවට අපි මිල න්‍යාය තමයි පදනම් වෙන්නේ සූක්ෂම ආර්ථික විද්‍යාව නැත්නම් මයික්‍රෝ ඉකොනොමික්ස්. එතකොට that there we just want to know about how we determine the demand for a particular commodity. එතකොට යම් කිසි භාණ්ඩයක මිල, how we determine the price, how we determine the price of the commodity. යම් කිසි භාණ්ඩයක මිල තීරණය වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක I identify කරගන්න. එතකොට ඒකට බේස් වෙන බේසික්ම තියරි එක තමයි මේ අපි අද කතා කරන්න හදන්නේ demand and supply, right? So under the demand and supply, so that when we consider about the yes, just only one so Chinta, what happened to others? Do you have any idea?
Don't know, madam.
I couldn't hear you properly. අනිත් අයට මොකක්ද දන්න වෙලා තියෙන පුතේනේ? කතා කරන්න මට ඇහෙන්නේ නැහැ චින්ත.
දන්නේ නෑ madam. මොකද දන්නේ?
ඔයාලගේ group එකකුත් නැහැනේ?
නෑනේ madam group එකක් නෑ.
අර කවුද හිටියේ පුතේ ළමයි කී දෙනෙක් විතර සාමාන්‍ය වෙනදට lecture එකට හිටියද?
6 දෙනෙක් හිටියා.
6 දෙනෙක්. ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින්ම මං කිය කරගෙන ආපු group එකද මේ?
ඔව් madam.
ඒ කියන්නේ අපි වැඩි සිංහලෙන් කතා කරත් නැහැ ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින්මනේ කරේ නේද?
ඔව්.
ඒක හිටිය ළමයි හොඳට රෙස්පොන්ස් කරන කට්ටිය මං හිතන්නේ අර ඔයගලන්ගේ රීෂෙඩියුල් වෙන නිසා ටයිම් ටේබල් එක සමහර විට මේ වුණාද දන්නේ නැහනේ.
ඔව්.
හරි. මම රෙකෝඩින් එකත් එක්කම මම මේ පටන් ගත්තා කමන්නේ දැන් අය නවත්තලා මම explain කරගෙන යන්නේ ඒක නිසා that I think you can catch up. Okay, so that we're discussing about the demand and supply. Today, under today's session, that we had to focus about basically demand, the demand determinants, then the supply and supply determinants, and how to become equilibrium, right? How to become equilibrium and the equilibrium changes, right? So those are the things that I'm going to discuss with you today. Yeah, so that as usual that if you look into the definition of demand, right? I already said that you call the PPT. So that anyway, that may be not equally match with this one. Those things, the things they are include are similar. මේකම මේ presentation එක චුට්ටක් වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒ වුණාට ඇතුලේ තියෙන දේවල් ඔක්කොම එකයි. හරි? එතකොට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි ගත්තාම when we consider about the market වෙළඳපළක් ගත්තාම වෙළඳපළක we know there's two parties, right? Within the market that we can identify basically two parties as demanders. Now the that demanders එහෙම නැත්නම් consumers line. We can identify them as demanders. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේගොල්ලන්ට අපි කියනවා the buyers ලා කියලා. Right? Demanders ලා කියනවා, buyers ලා කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේගොල්ලන්ම තමයි consumers ලා කියන්නේ. හරි? Consumers ලා. එතකොට that we can identify. We can identify in the market there are two parties. The one party is demanders or the buyers or the consumers. So they are the one already purchasing goods and services. Right? They are the one already purchasing goods and services. On the other hand, that we can identify the sellers. Sellers. So මේ sellers ලටම තමයි අපි කියන්නේ කවුද producers ලා කියලා. Business firms කියලා අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්. So normally when we consider about the market, that we can identify the these two parties. So the demanders and demanders or the buyers and the suppliers or the sellers. Suppliers or the sellers. So that if we know if we consider about the practical situation actually, how you exchange good or service. කොහොමද අපි භාණ්ඩයක් හෝ සේවාවක් මාරු කරගන්න. So that when the sellers willing to purchase on some sort of price, and the buyers also willing to purchase that one on that agreed price. වෙළඳාමක් එහෙම නැත්නම් exchange එකක් වෙන්නේ. භාණ්ඩයක් හෝ සේවාවක් හෝ මාරු වෙන්නේ. වෙළෙන්දා sellers also wish to sell on that price. යම් කිසි මිලකට විකුණන්න වෙළෙන්දත් කැමති වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම and the other hand, the buyer also willing to purchase that particular good on the agreeable price. එතකොට මිලදී ගන්න. Consumer කැමති වෙනවා ඒ දෙන ලද මිලට මිලදී ගන්න. So that how the normally markets exchange, goods and services exchange in the market. එතකොට වෙළඳපළක එහෙම තමයි භාණ්ඩ හා සේවාවන් හුවමාරු වෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ තුලින් මේ ඉල්ලුම හරි. එතකොට ඉල්ලුම සැපයීම ඇති වෙන ආකාරය ගැන තමයි මම අද කතා කරන්න යන්නේ. මේ ඉල්ලුම හා සැපයීම තුලින් මිල තීරණය වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? එතකොට සමතුලිත මිලක්, equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity කියන එක ඇති වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඉල්ලුම කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද? What does mean by the demand? So then there are a lot of factors impact on determinants. We consider those things as determinants to determine demand. ඉල්ලුම කියන එක තීරණය කරන්න සාධක ගොඩක් බලපානවා. ඒ සාධක මොනවද? So those are the things, right? Those are the things that we are going to discuss today. So then first when we consider about the demand, so demand to be effective demand, so that you know if you want to purchase a commodity or good, අපිට මොකක් හරි භාණ්ඩයක් මිලදී ගන්න ඕනොත්, so definitely we should have something. මොනවද තියෙන්න ඕනේ? අචින්ත භාණ්ඩයක් මිලදී ගන්න නම් අපි හිතන්නකො that just assume that you went to the fair. If you want to purchase a good, definitely you should have මොනවද ඔයාලට තියෙන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම?
Money.
Oh, income. or money තියෙන්න ඕනේ. income එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් money තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So to purchase, yes, definitely we need money. We need money. So in other words, in economics for the money, we call instead of money කියන එක වෙනුවට අපි we can use the economic term. Economic term that is actually purchasing power. ඒකට අපි කියන මිලදී ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් so the consumer should have purchasing power. Right? Purchasing power. So is that enough only the purchasing power? So මිලදී ගැනීමේ හැකියාව විතරක් තිබුණාම ඇද්ද? Ability to purchase. Ability to purchase. Combining with this ability to purchase, actually there should be the desire. Desire or the willingness. So otherwise we will not purchase. That whatever that is, that say for example, if you won a lottery, even that you already have the millions of money, millions of money, sometimes that we will not purchase whatever that hanging around us. Whatever the stuff hanging around us, we are not going to purchase. So why that there should be some sort of a desire, likeness, or the willingness, right? Willingness to purchase. So therefore, definitely to be effective demand, compulsory that we have to consider whether we have ability to purchase, and as well as we should have willingness to purchase. So that by replaying this one, I just want to re-emphasize this. After the brief explanation, better to listen again what does mean by this.
Equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, and then the excess demand, excess supply. Again, the if we impose tax, what will happen? So likewise, you should have to have some sort of experience on arithmetic calculations as well. Then today, I'm really focused about to introduce the demand and the determinants of demand, supply and the determinants of supply, and the equilibrium. So that here actually if we consider about as usual the definition to be the effective demand. To be effective demand, there should be two things compulsory that we should have to complete to be effective demand. That means the want and purchasing power. You know that the consumers are the demanders, right? Consumers are the demanders, and individual desires only. Individual desires for so many goods and services. Not only enough to make a demand, to make the effective demand. With the desires, you should have to have a ability to purchase. Ability to purchase. So therefore, in one aspect, there should be a real purpose, real want, or real need, as well as purchasing power to have a effective demand. So that being consumers, there may be different. There may be different desires that we have, because you know that we already have unlimited demands. So that due to different and the multiple different and multiple unlimited wants, that we, even though we satisfy one want, that will arise another. So likewise, that people may have different desires, but if we don't have enough money to purchase or to fulfill those desires, to fulfill those demands, definitely there not be a effective demand, right? There not be a effective demand. Those say, for example, if we consider about the very simple example, so that that you already have different desires to purchase different vehicles like the Lamborghini, Ferrari. So there may be different type of brands, the superior brands. But if you don't have enough money to purchase, if you are not wealthy enough to purchase those things, so then there may be not effective demand. As well as, not only that, as well as that even though maybe sometimes we already have enough money, but there may be some, you know that at the end of the year, there may be some sales. So that if you are not interested to purchase from that sales, you know that there may be shoe sales, there may be garment sales. So likewise, there are lot of sales at the end of the year. So, but if you are not willing to purchase that sort of given goods or cheap goods, so that you will not make demand over that. Therefore, the effective demand will not happen. But you have to be, remember, to be effective demand, there should be desire as well as together with that purchasing power. Right? Purchasing power. So therefore, consumers' desire to have a thing must be backed by his ability to pay, identified as the effective demand. Right? Effective demand. So then demand is the relationship. The demand is relationship that indicates willingness and the ability. Right? Willingness and the ability. So that possible price during a given period of time and other factors determine held constant. Right? So the demand is a relationship. Demand is a relationship indicating the quantity of a well-defined commodity that consumers are both willing and able to purchase, able to buy under given period of time, considering other things held constant. Right? Then what are the? So that for the demand, actually, you can see the lot of factors will affect. So if we consider about the demand, I will explain the earlier slide. First, we'll see the demand determinants of demand. You know that for the determinants of demand, there may be different factors will affect. Right? Say for example, that if you want to purchase a frock, then from the textile shop, that first what would you looking for? So maybe that mainly consider about the price of that particular frock, right? Price of the particular frock first, right? Before we taking or before we purchasing a good or service, what is the mainly considering factor? Mainly that we consider the price of the product, right? Price of the product. So that that is its own price or the price of the product. Then the prices of other related products. So what does mean by this? The prices of other related products. So that means actually that we can identify two different type of products here. One may be substitute products. Right? Substitute product. The other one is the complementary product. So that what does mean by the substitute products and complementary product? Substitute and complementary. So substitute means that we can purchase, that we can consume. But the purchase actually we can consume the one good instead of the other. One good instead of the other, because the both goods already have similar utility, similar satisfaction. That we call name for satisfaction. For the satisfaction, normally in economical, we call it as utility. Utility. Similar satisfaction. But we'll receive similar satisfaction. Right? Similar satisfaction of substitution means the particular good that which can use instead of the other. Say for examples like tea and coffee, bread and butter and margarine, then the laptops and the desktops. So likewise, there may be similar product. So that if we consider about the early example, when you enter into the textile shop, that you will seek out not only that frock. Maybe sometimes that you will look at the other substitute goods. So how much is the salwar? How much is the trouser and the t-shirt? So likewise, that when you like to compare the prices of other substitute goods, right? Other substitute goods.
So, okay. Then I just enrich that better. I think that you can listen 2 times because by using my explanation, and again that I will just use the previous one also that I already just use to explain both things, that you can listen and have good understanding. Good understanding about these determinants, so that we know when if you want to purchase a commodity, particular commodity, so that we are looking at the several factors. ගොඩක් ಜಾති බලන භාණ්ඩයක් මුලදී ගන්න ගියාම භාණ්ඩේ මුලින්ම ගොඩක්ම that is very important is actually the price. So that first we are looking into the price of the commodity. We ගොඩක් කලාට ඉස්සෙල්ලාම බලන්නේ භාණ්ඩයේ මිල. So that other than to the price, actually there are so many factors impact that we know that if there are some sort of similar type of products, so just we looking into the price of those products also, right? Say for example that if you want to purchase a vehicle, normally that you are looking for different type of vehicles. So what is the price of others vehicle? So then we therefore that before we purchasing, before we make demand, we should have to consider the prices of other related goods. Right? Not only its own price, but also the prices of other related commodities, other related goods. So what are those other related commodities that we can identify? Anith related commodities. So that what are the other related commodities? Not all the goods and services whatever in the market. දැන් අනිත් භාණ්ඩ වල මිල ගණන් බලනවා කියලා කියන්නේ වෙළඳපොලේ තියෙන සේරම භාණ්ඩ වල මිල ගණන් බලනවා කියන එක නෙවෙයි. Right? So that we had to look into the some related, the prices of the related goods. එහා සම්බන්ධ වෙන අනිකුත් භාණ්ඩ වල මිල ගණන් තමයි අපි we are looking into. Right? So then we can identify the sort of 2 types of related goods. But අපේ related goods types දෙකක් නඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්. එකක් තමයි අපි කියන මොනවද? Substitute goods. Substitute. In Sinhala we call ආදේශන භාණ්ඩ. Substitute goods and complementary goods කියලා. Complementary goods කියලා කියන්නේ අනුපූරක භාණ්ඩ. What we see then what does mean by the substitute and complementary goods? So if you want to purchase a commodity, normally as the rational consumer, we are looking into prices of other related goods as well. අනිත් ඒවාත් මිල ගණන් බලනවා සාමාන්‍ය භාණ්ඩයක් මිලදී ගන්න ගියහම. Right. So then, so that as earlier example, I already emphasize again here that you want to purchase a frock, right? The frock, then at the same time that maybe sometimes you are looking for instead of the frock. So what is the price of blouse and skirt? The frock එකක් ගන්න තමයි ගියේ, but you know that we can wear a the need maybe the want maybe the to go to party. So then by wearing frock or by wearing the blouse and the skirt, we can go to or we can participate for the party. So that may be satisfy same need. So the name wants. So that's why we identify them as substitutes. That may satisfy. Satisfy same need. What is the need? There's a real need to go to party. So that either by wearing frock or wearing skirt and blouse, we can participate for the party. So that the substitute commodities or substitute goods will satisfy the similar utility. The utility means satisfaction. Similar, the economic word for satisfaction is the utility. So that substitute goods will fulfill similar utility or similar, that maybe give similar satisfaction. You know that if you feel thirsty, if it is a very gloomy day, a rainy day, so we can have a tea or coffee. So that both two things will satisfy the same need or the same want of thirsty. So if it is very sunny day, so we can use the soft drink, either Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. So those are substitute goods. That means before purchase, maybe sometimes Coca-Cola, if you already have a real need, yes, that we should normally purchase only that. But if Coca-Cola is 5,000, then the Pepsi-Cola is just only 200. So then definitely maybe sometimes we purchase Pepsi-Cola because already give the same satisfaction, but there's a big difference of price. Yeah. Then we look into prices of other commodities. So then again that we can identify as other related good the complementary commodities. So that what does mean by the complementary commodity? Complementary means joint products, right? Joint products. So then what does mean by this joint product? Joint product. So joint product means both commodities. So both commodities have to consume together. Let's say, for example, if I take, by using practical example, if I explain the gas cylinder, the gas cooker we cannot use without gas cylinder. So then before we purchasing gas cylinder, so definitely we have to look into what is the price of the gas cylinder. So then likewise, there are some before we purchasing commodity, before we making demand for a particular product, other than to its own price, normally we have to look into. The what are the prices of other substitute goods and what are the prices of other complementary goods. likewise. So then for the complementary goods that we can consider more examples like the pen and book. So the pen is useless without the book. So that other one commodity is useless without having the other. So that we have to jointly consider, right? That electric cooker and the electricity. Then the tire and tubes, right? Then the torch and battery. So likewise, that we can take different examples, right? Those are the other related goods, so prices of substitute goods and the prices of complementary goods. So then other than to this thing that we can consider about the third determinant, that is about the consumer income and wealth. So just we'll move to again to this my explanation and we'll continue.
So not only the price of the considerable price, the price of other related goods also may be affect to determine the purchase of the product or the demand, right? Purchase of the product or the demand. Then if we consider about the complementary good, so what does mean by the complementary good? The both goods should have to use together. Right? So that we cannot use one good without the other. Say for example, that gas cooker. So we cannot use gas cooker without the gas cylinder. So likewise, that if we consider about those type of goods like the torch and battery, then the pens and books, then the shocks and shoes. So likewise, that way, if you want to use tire and tube, if you want to use one commodity, definitely that you have to use another one. Otherwise, that you cannot use the particular commodity. So those goods that we identified as the complementary goods. Right. Then the other factor is consumers' income. So that if you have more income, maybe sometimes we'll have more demand of a particular good, but not for other particular goods, right? There may be some cheap goods, luxury goods, goods like that. With the income. With the income, there may be change demand. For a particular good, they will demand more. For some particular goods, even though that income increase, will not demand. So that another factor, another determinant, which decide the demand is the consumer's income. Then the consumer taste and preference, their desires, their wish, whether that passion is matched with me. So that is there any interest to purchase that or not? Then maybe the advertising, then the availability of credit facilities, weather changes, then the size of population, all these factors will affect that determine the demand. About these we consider as the demand determinants. Even though these factors already affect to determine demand, out of these factors actually the very important factor is the on price, right? On price of the product. Then if we consider about the demand actually, so the demand is the relationship between the determinants of factors and the quantity demand. So there's a change of the one of the determinant, then how much is change of the demand. We'll examine through the demand. Then out of that, there's an important factor. Out of these different demand determinants, that one factor is very important. That is the on price of the product, right? The price.
Okay, then here actually that when we consider about all the other factors and demand, so that we can write down general equation. General equation that shows the technical relationship. If you need that, you can write down even the note also. General equation with relate to this by considering all these factors. So maybe sometimes otherwise you will maybe confused by looking at the two demand curves. So that one demand curve, general demand curve means that is that shows like this. Here that QD, the quantity demand may be the function of all the factors. All the factors. So that we write down it as the first one is price of the considerable goods. Then the second one, price of other related goods. Price of PN, like that, maybe this one will be X considerable commodity and mean other related goods. Then the consumer income, consumer taste, then the population, other expected factors. So all the other factors, all the other factors, so that we can write down it as an equation. Right? It has equation. This equation we consider as a general equation, general demand equation. Right? General demand equation, it means that it shows the technical relationship. The technical relationship between quantity demand and the determinants of demand. Right? Determinants of demand. If we change any of these factors, say for example, income, taste, or any other factor, prices of other related goods, so then definitely that will change the demand, right? Change the demand. So that is therefore that is general equation. Other than to this equation, actually, here that we consider all the factors, no. But when we consider about the law of demand, demand equation, that means with relate to the law of demand, there's an equation also that may be discussed under the law of demand. So the law of demand means actually, though there are large number of determinants, that you can see there's large number of determinants other than to its own price. there are a large number of determinants impact on purchasing decision of the buyer or the consumer. Right? We know that there's a vital or the crucial, very important factor is there. So that is actually its own price, because before we purchase a particular commodity, that is the that may be the very important factor. First, we look into the price of the commodity. So therefore, under demand, we are going to now identify the new concept. New concept that is about the law of demand. Law of demand. So then what does mean by this law of demand? Law of demand. Right? So what it means? The law of demand means actually even though there are a large number of factors impact on determination of price, here we examine the relationship between only the price of the commodity and the demand. Right? That means in simply it means if there's any change, if there any change of price of the commodity, if price increase, what will happen to demand? Then if the price decrease, what will happen to demand? So that may be examined by the law of demand. So therefore, normally what will happen when the price increase, what will happen to quantity? When the price decrease, what will happen to quantity? So likewise, through law of demand, wants to have understand about the relationship between the price and the quantity. Yeah? Quantity here that we assume. Here we assume other things held constant. So therefore, when we consider about the definition of law of demand, it means when other things held constant. So when other factors held constant. So what does mean by that? When other things held constant, that means though there are a large number of other factors. We'll assume all these other factors will held constant. Right? When other factors held constant, what is the relationship between the price of the considerable commodity and the demand? අනිකුත් සාධක නොවෙනස් පවතිද්දී. අනිකුත් සාධක කියන්නේ ඉන්කම් එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. රුචිය වෙනස් වෙන්නේ ටේස්ට් එක. So when other factors held constant, what is the relationship between price of the commodity and the quantity? Right? So that if you refer extra notes, maybe sometimes you may be met with some technical words. Definition when other things held constant. When other things held constant, when what? Right? So that here. Right? Yes. Here that you can see, when we consider about the law of demand, the law of demand means hold other things equal or hold other things constant. The relationship between price and the commodity or good or service. So instead of this word, when other things held constant, there's a Greek word that is about a ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus. Greek word. So that a ceteris paribus means other things held constant. එතන මේ වචනේ තියන්නත් පුළුවන් ටෙක්ස්ට් බුක්ස් එකම රිෆර් කරලා other factors held constant කියන එක. other factors held constant, right? When other things held constant or when other factors held constant. So at that time, relationship between the price and the quantity, right? Price and quantity. So here identify there's a reverse relationship. So that means when price increase, quantity decrease. The reverse means actually negative. That for this, actually we can identify the relationship between these two, the price and the quantity. Right? Observe the relationship between these two. I will explain why. So why there's this sort of relationship. When one variable increase, other variable decrease. So that means that those variables we have two directions. Then we can identify therefore this relationship as negative relationship or positive, negative relationship or inverse, right? So another word, inverse. That inverse means pratiloma. In Sinhala we call it ප්‍රතිලෝම සම්බන්ධතාව. ප්‍රතිලෝම සම්බන්ධතාවයක් එහෙම නැත්නම් ඍණාත්මක සම්බන්ධතාවයක් කියලා කියන්නේ එක සාධකයක් ඉහළ යනකොට අනිත් සාධකය පහළ යනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඩිරෙක්ෂන්ස් දෙකකට ගමන් කරනවා. ප්‍රයිස් එකත් වැඩි වෙනකොට ක්වොන්ටිටි එකත් වැඩි වෙනවා නම් අපි කියනවා positive relationship එකක් කියලා. Both are flows on same directions. The price also increase, quantity also increase. We said it has already positive relationship. But here between price and quantity already have, quantity demand already have negative. When price increase, we know quantity will reduce, right? So then you can rewrite even the definition. You can rewrite even the definition so that under law of demand, right? The law of demand means there's inverse relationship, right? Inverse relationship between price and the quantity demand. Price and quantity demand, and it examines the relationship between the price and quantity. Price and quantity when other things held constant, right? When other things held constant. So that I think I already gave you the detailed handout also. So that if not, I will share with you the detailed handout also that you can go through that. Go through that as well. So that what law of demand means. Law of demand means even though there are a large number of factors, large number of determinants impact on determination of demand. Out of all these factors that we are going to examine with the relationship with only with the price of the commodity. Only with the price of the commodity. So then what sort of relationship? When price increases, when there's a price change, what will happen to quantity? So that may be examined by the law of demand, right? When other things held constant or when other factors held constant or ceteris paribus, the relationship between price of the commodity and the demand. Price of the commodity and demand, right? So that is that clear, Chinta?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have any doubts, any clarification, please disturb me. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Then we listen again to this one also to enrich again the idea. Consumer taste. Then the prices of other related factors. Those things held constant, right?
those things held constant with the on price. With the on price of product, how the demand will change. How the demand will change, we'll examine through law of demand, right? Law of demand. So that here, law of demand presents. That's a inverse relationship, right? That's an inverse relationship. Inverse relationship between price and the quantity. So that means if there's increase in price, what will happen? The quantity will decrease, right? When there's a reduction of price, what will happen? Quantity will increase. So then that's why the law of demand, the demand curve already has negative slope. Has negative slope. If there's increase in price, what will happen to the quantity will decrease or the demand will decrease. So that here the law of demand explain price of the goods or service falls, its quantity will increase and vice versa, right? So that why? So even practically also we know when the price rise up of the product, definitely the consumers will not purchase more, right? Will not purchase more. So one reason is, so why there's inverse relationship? When the price increase, what? When there's price increase, why the quantity will fall back? Why there's inverse relationship between price and the quantity? So one is the income effect, right? Income effect, you know that if we have, for example, if we have 1,000 rupees, right? If we have 1,000 rupees, then earlier the price of milk packet may be equal to 450, right? Earlier the price of the milk packet equals to 450. So then if the price remaining, the income remaining as it is, that means 1,000 rupees. But the price of the product, the price of the milk packet already increased to 900. Right? So when at the price of 450 with 1,000 rupees, that we can purchase 2 packets. We can purchase 2 packets. But the same income when price increase. Now we can purchase only 1. What happened? Our purchasing ability, or that we call it as we identify it as a real income. Real income already decreased. So that means if the price increase of the product, the purchasing ability of the consumer will reduce. So that's why when price increase, the demand leads to decrease. The inverse relationship. Why there's inverse relationship between the price and quantity? So what are the reasons for law of demand? One is income effect. When price increase, that we cannot purchase as we expect earlier, or as we purchased earlier. Right. At the 450 we purchased 2 products. But if it is increased up to 900, now we can purchase only 1. That means it reduce purchasing power of the consumer. Purchasing power of the consumer. That we identify as the income effect. Real money income reduced. Right? Income effect. Then this is change in the purchasing power of income caused by a change of the price of the good. Right? Then the other one is the substitution effect. Substitution effect. So what does mean by the substitution effect? So this is a change in relative price. So say for example, that we can explain by using an example. So that change of the price of the related goods. Related goods. The substitution. Substitution effect. So substitution effect, say for example, that this is related to the tea. Tea, right? So the demand curve like this. When the price increase of tea, what will happen? You know that for the tea, that we can identify coffee. We can identify coffee as the substitute, right? Coffee. So when the tea price rise up, when tea price increase, what will happen? Those who are consuming tea will shift to the coffee market. Therefore, the demand for tea may be reduced. Demand for tea may be reduced. So that we identify. That's why when the price of coffee increase, what will happen? Those who are consuming tea, we shift to the coffee market. Therefore, the quantity demand will reduce with relate to tea. Those are consuming the tea will seek out some sort of substitutes. They will shift to the substitute markets. So that is the substitution effect. So therefore, why there's an inverse relationship? Between price and the quantity? Because of the income effect and the substitution effect. So that I already explained what are the determinants of the demand. Right? Then you know that law of demand. This law of demand, not only the law of demand, but also most of the concept of economics that we can explain. We can explain by using 3 methods, right? By using 3 methods, like the graphical methods, or most of the time any concept. That we can use by using 3 methods, that numerically, right? Numerically means that by using some sort of numerical values, that 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise, by taking some examples, or by taking some figures like the schedules, the tables, right? That we can use. We can explain the concept. And then graphically, or by using some illustrations, right? So like graphs, graphically by using some illustration, or algebraically. That means by using some equations, right? So the algebraically, graphically, and numerically. So by using these three ways that we can explain most of the economic concepts. Here, the law of demand already explained by using demand schedule, so that you can see what happened to if there's a price decrease, the quantity continuously increase. Then if we draw by using these values, you can see the demand curve will lies from left to right, having negative slope, inverse relationship, by showing inverse relationship. Then if we consider about the demand equation, here that A means the intercept value. Intercept value, that means the minimum demand at 0, maximum demand at 0. When the price is equals to 0, how much is the value? When the price is equals to 0, how much is the value for demand? And then the B means the slope, and P means the price of the particular good. Here the negative sign indicates that there's an inverse relationship between QD and the price, demand and the price. Right? These are the determinants. Then the here the individual demand function. This equation shows how much the technical relationship. The technical relationship between the demand and the other factors of production. Then if we consider about the individual demand and the market demand, right? Individual demand and the market demand, you know that if we consider about the different individual demand curves, right? There may be the Sita's demand curve, Rama's demand curve, Hamish demand curves, likewise. Then by combining all these curves together, that we can draw the total demand curve, the sum value, horizontal summation, the horizontal summation of the individual demand curves, right? Individual demand curves to summing up all the individual demand curves, that we can derive. We can derive the market demand curve, right? Market demand curve. Then if we consider about another concept with regard to the demand, so that we identify when we are demanding a commodity, the mainly the price of the commodity. The price of the commodity will act as the main or the important determinant. So therefore, here, if we consider about the on price, the changes of on price, and the changes of the other factors, so how it affect, how it change the demand curve. So then actually, if there's change of the price, if there's a change of the price, that means increase of price or decrease of price. So that will affect only to movements along the curve. Right? So due to the change of the price, will change only the quantity demand. That may be lead, that may be cost, movements along the curve. That may be that means if there's a price increase, for example, if there's a price increase from 10 to 15, right? From 10 to 15, point A to B, the price increase, what happen? The quantity will reduce 1,500 to 1,000. Right? So if there's increase in price, what happen? And the quantity will decrease. That will reflect movements along the curve. That change, if there's any change in price, that will lead to movements along the curve. Then vice versa of that, if there's a price reduction, there's a price reduction from 15 to 10, what happen? What will happen? Then that will lead to increase, right? The price reduction will increase the quantity, then we'll shift from B to A. So that upward shift or downward shift, right? Demand contraction or demand expansion. Demand contraction or demand expansion. That means that will affect for movements along the curve. But other than to the on price, so there will be several factors will affect. Other than to on price, the price of other products like substitute and complementary, consumer income, taste, advertising. Likewise, there will be different. Maybe different factors will affect. Right? Different factors will affect. So then, if there's a change of the particular factor, with the change of the particular factor, that will cause to change the whole demand curve to right hand side or left hand side. Right? So for example, if there's an increase, in income, what will happen to the demand curve? So most probably that will shift to increase to right hand side. And then maybe there's a increase of taste, that also a shift outward demand curve. Then say for example, another factor, the prices of the related goods. If it is the price of, if we consider about the butter and margarine, butter and margarine. Butter and margarine. So here that here we said this is the butter price. The butter price and quantity. So then if there's a reduction, if there's a reduction of price, right? Price reduction of butter, what will happen? So those who are consuming margarine, know that those who are consuming margarine, so definitely will, if there's a reduction in butter market, those who are consuming margarine will shift to the butter market. So therefore, what will happen? The demand for, if there's a reduction of butter, the quantity, here the quantity will increase, the butter quantity. Butter demand will increase. The demand will increase. Right? So that if we consider about the substitute goods, so for example, another example, we'll take another example, laptops and smartphones, right? Smartphones. Then we can consider these two products also as substitute goods, right? So when there's a price increase, when there's a price, please remember, price of the related good will affect to the demand of the particular product. Right? If there's a increase of the price of smartphones, increase of the price of smartphones, what will happen if there's an increase of price for the smartphones? Then those who are consuming it, smartphones will shift to the laptop markets. Therefore, the demand for laptops will increase. Right? The demand for laptops will increase. Here the demand decrease, right? The smartphones demand decrease, but laptop demand increase. Right? Then two products. Smartphones price of the smartphones. If there's a increase of the price of the smartphone, will lead to increase the demand for laptops. So those, if we consider up the trend of these two commodities is in similar way. If there's increase in price increase will increase the demand for the laptops. If there's increase in the substitute goods, that will lead to increase the demand for the other good. Then if there's a decrease in price, if there's a decrease in smartphones, so that those who are consuming laptops then will shift to the smartphones. Therefore, laptop demand also decrease. Then the price reduction of the smartphone will lead to reduction of the demand of laptops. The similar way. Therefore, that there's a positive relationship between the substitute goods. Positive relationship between substitute goods. And likewise, there's negative relationship between the complementary goods. Right? Complementary goods. So other than to the price of own goods, if there's a change of the other factors, we shift whole demand curve to right hand side or left hand side. Then if we consider about the supply,
Okay. So that before moving to supply, actually this time that I just want to do some sort of exercise. Anyway, that Chinta, can you write down these things, and in next day that we'll do with the others.
Sure.
Okay, that you can try. You can try these things and write down. Then I will check with it. That I will ask two others also to join to that. We can do those things as exercise. So just concern that following incidents were related to tea market, right? So that I think you already have understanding about how, so that how the that what sort of relationship between the price and quantity, then how it leads to the movements along the curve, and if there's any change other than to the price, of product, what will happen to the whole demand curve, right? So that may be already clearly understand with this one I already shared with you. Bias consumers, that may be a little bit simpler than the other one. Consumers are demanders. Then these are the factors impact. Then as I said, the demand, general demand function. What does mean by the law of demand? Inverse relationship between the price and the quantity. Then how can we explain the law of demand? By using schedule, by using graph. So likewise, then you already have understand about the changes in quantity demand and changes in demand. If the change in the price of the commodity, that may be lead to movements along the curve, right? Movements along the curve other than the price change. Other than the price change, what will happen? The whole demand curve may be shift to right-hand side or left-hand side. Right? So then I just want to give some examples. Then you have to think what will happen to demand curve, right? What will happen to demand curve? So then what I said, following incidents are related to T market. Is that okay, Chinta?
Okay.
Okay. So the following incidents are related to T market. By examining the impact of each and every incident, explain what will happen to demand. What will happen to demand? Okay.
Okay.
So the first one, due to economic crisis. Due to economic crisis, the prices of tea, drastically increase. This is second one. Different family planning methods. Reduce the population. Then the panel of scientists. Discover Is that okay, Chinta? Already written down?
Okay, ma'am.
So that the panel of scientists discover the if there any possibility that you said you don't have the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
So that is there any possibility to share all these things with others? No, right? So anyway, that we think about the next day that at least to form the WhatsApp group and better to that maybe help for your studies. So anyway, what I already read,
The panel of scientists discover
the panel of scientists discover less likely T T have T has discover T has special quality. T has special quality. Special quality and that will reduce the cancers. That will reduce the cancer. Then government imposed launched government launched huge advertisement campaign huge advertisement campaign on tea. Huge advertisement campaign on tea, right? So then you just try to do that to consider what will happen to tea market, that whether there's only the movements along the curve, if there's only the impact on price, that may be lead for the movements along the curve. Movements along the curve by increasing or decreasing demand that have a upward trend or downward trend in the demand. Or otherwise, if other factors, so that other factors may be the taste, increase in taste, increase in population, so increase in income, that sort of factors. So that sort of factors have impact to shift the whole demand curve to right-hand side or left-hand side. So if there's an increase in demand due to, say for example, due to increase in income, then due to increase in preference. So those things definitely, we shift the whole demand curve to right-hand side or left-hand side. Another two things that better to write down, because that is compulsory, the prices of other related goods. With relate to that one, there's huge increase in sugar price. So there's huge increase in sugar price. So the sugar and tea, what sort of relationship? So without sugar, we cannot drink, right? So then we consider it as a complementary good. Then when we consider about the coffee, coffee can consider as a subsidy. So the substitute good, substitute goods to T. So then another example you can write down, increase of coffee prices. Increase of coffee prices. So how many situations, how many incidents?
6.
6.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, 6, ma'am.
Okay. So then you just concern, I will ask the answers in next day, but better to at least try to think what will happen to the demand curve, whether that one is shift to left hand side. First you have to decide. First you have to decide whether there's impact to movements along the curve, or uh, is that shift whole demand curve to right hand side or left hand side, right? So then you can think about if there's price change, only impact on movements along the curve. If there's a change in other factors, that may make us to shift the whole demand curve to right or left, right? And then I just give a 10 minutes break before to start supply side, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then we'll come back. Chinta, did you try to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So then what about the first one? I think I gave that. What is the first incident?
Due to economic crisis, the prices of tea discretely increased.
The prices of tea will increase, so that it will affect to what does mean is that on change whole demand curve or movements along the curve. That means the considerable price. Huh?
Yes,
Considerable price. The change is the considerable price.
price.
So that will impact on whole demand curve to shift to right hand side or left hand side. What do you think?
Mm,
This is price, this is quantity. Huh? So the tea, so that what is our considerable commodity? Our considerable commodity is tea,
yes,
right?
yes.
Tea. So then the price change of tea means that impact to change whole curve or just movement. Huh?
Yes,
When there's price change, definitely impact on movements along the curve, right?
yes.
Movements along the curve, so that we can show like this. Here, that's say for example, price reduction or price increase.
Increase.
Price increase. So earlier already 10. Price is equals to 10. That time that we already maybe consume 50 kilos. 10, say for example, 100. Earlier 100, the price of the 1 kilo. Now already increased to 200. 200. Then what will happen to quantity?
Quantity decrease.
Quantity will decrease up to 25. So when there's increase in quantity, yes, definitely quantity will reduce. So then that maybe you can show it. A to B upward trend. So likewise, you can draw this graph. Right? So then what is the second one?
Different family planning methods reduce the population.
Reduce the population. Then what will happen? It may be impact on the direct impact. If the word itself explain that here the price increase or price reduction, otherwise no need to think about the what will happen to price like that. You should have to consider the reasons impact. හරියටම කෙලින්ම වචනයෙන්ම කියලා නැත්නම් ප්‍රයිස් එකට ඉම්පැක්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා ඉහළ යනවා පහළ යනවා කියලා. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කන්සිඩර් කරන්න ඕනේ මේක පොපියුලේෂන් එක නේ. ඒක කෙලින්ම කියලා තියෙනනේ පොපියුලේෂන් එක කියලා. ඒක පොපියුලේෂන් ඩික්‍රීස් වෙනවා කියලා. ඒක පොපියුලේෂන් එක ඩික්‍රීස් වෙනවා නම් ඩිමාන්ඩ් කර්ව් එක that may be affect to shift whole demand curve. හරි? මුරු ඩිමාන්ඩ් කර්ව්. එතකොට ඩිමාන්ඩ් කර්ව් එක වමටද දකුණටද යන්නේ? Oh, that may be shift to right hand side. If increase population increase වෙලා නම් demand එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Demand එක වැඩි වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ that may be shift to right hand side. But here the population decrease. Decrease, so that means it will shift to left hand side. We shift to left hand side. So then likewise that you have to show the D1 or D2 and the direction as well. Direction එකත් පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ. So then what about the third one?
The panel of scientists discover tea has a special quality and natural to reduce the cancer.
Reduce the cancer. So then what will happen to demand curve, do you think? Cancer අඩු කරනවා කියලා කිව්වොත් demand එක T වලට තියෙන demand එක වැඩි වෙයිද අඩු වෙයිද? වැඩි වෙනවා. නේද? වැඩි වෙනවා. එතකොට වැඩි වෙනවා නම් demand curve එක මොකද වෙන්නේ?
Left hand side.
Huh?
Sorry, right hand side.
Yeah, that will shift to
Right
right
hand.
hand side. That will shift to right hand side. That you can draw like this. That may be shift to right hand side. Like this. D1, D2. So then what about the next one?
Government launch huge advertisement campaign on tea.
So that also what will happen? If there's huge propaganda on
Demand increase.
demand increase. Definitely demand will increase. That therefore the demand curve will shift to right hand side, the similar impact like this. Here, like this. Then the next one,
Huge increase in sugar price.
sugar price. So that you should have to concern about what will happen to demand if there's increase in sugar. So that sugar we consider as the complementary good. So without sugar, can we drink? If you don't have the, that means unless you have the diabetics, that you need sugar to drink tea. When sugar price increase, what will happen to demand for tea? Will they demand more? Sugar price increase, so that definitely we need sugar to drink tea.
Yes.
Yeah, then what will happen to the demand curve? They will reduce demand. Neither sugar, සීනි මිල ඉහළ යනකොට tea වලට තියෙන demand එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? Demand එක අඩු වෙනවා, because otherwise that we need more money to have a tea. So therefore demand will reduce. ගොඩක් වෙලාට complementary එක්කලා තියෙන්නේ if it is the price increase in complementary good. Complementary එක තියෙන්නේ negative relationship. So sugar price එක increase වුණොත් demand එක අඩු වෙනවා. sugar price එක අඩු වුණොත් demand එක වැඩි වෙනවා. So like this, but with the subsidy, that means the substitute products. But with the substitute products already have positive relationship. Let's say for example, next one I think the coffee price. Neither coffee price neither.
Increase of coffee price.
Increase of coffee price. Then what will happen to the tea demand? Price increase of coffee. Price increase of coffee. If there's increase of price, then what will happen? Coffee price increase those who are consuming coffee. Those who are consuming coffee, we shift to tea market. We shift to tea market. Then what will happen to the demand for tea?
Increase.
Definitely, demand for tea will increase. So that you can see the relationship. When there's increase in substitute product price, quantity also increase. Quantity also increase. But if it is complementary commodity price, negative relationship. But with the substitute commodities, they have positive relationship. Then demand will increase. Right? Like this. Then do we have another examples?
No.
That's only.
Yes.
So okay. So then
again, before move to supply side, I just want to play this one. I think here I already supply also actually very similar to what we call demand. So then I just want to remind you again to start the supply, law of supply. Yeah. Okay, just listen to this one.
Hello, so we start unit 5, and in this video we're going to look at the demand side of the market. So unit 5 is about the market, but specifically we want to build the market structure from here, and here we'll look at the demand. I'm your host, Elias. Let me quickly take you through the outline. So the first thing we'll look at is the law of demand. And before going to the law of demand, we will define a demand and try to describe its structure. And then later on, we'll distinguish between demand schedule and demand curve. So we will have to make serious distinctions here between what a schedule is and what we consider a curve in this course. And then we'll conclude by looking at the determinants of demand and the quantity demanded. And at this point, we are going to distinguish between demand and quantity demanded. For further readings, you can look at Mankio chapter 4 and Makola chapter 3. Okay, so let's start by defining demand. So demand is the amount of a product that consumers are willing and able to purchase at each of a series of possible prices during a specified period of time. Now, you will notice that when we are defining demand, number one, we are looking at a series of prices. So we have a series of possible prices, and we are also looking at a specified period of time, not just at a point in time. Meaning, for us to consider demand, we need to have a series, a different or various amounts of prices, and then over a specified period of time. If price was to increase tomorrow, how will the consumer behave in terms of purchases of a given product? Is the consumer going to buy more or less? Basically, we know that for demand, for a basic demand function or demand curve, we will note that there will be an inverse relationship because the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So the other thing we look at is the willingness and ability, which is part of the demand definition. Okay, so this means that demand shows the amount of a product that will be purchased at various possible prices, holding other factors constant. Therefore, we should note two main things that stand out from the definition of demand. Number one is that we are seeing the willingness of consumers to purchase the commodities at various possible prices. So the consumer must be willing to obtain the items. Not only should the consumer be willing, but the consumer should or must also be able to buy those commodities. This means that for demand to be defined, an individual consumer or a group of consumers must be willing and able. If the consumer is willing but has no capacity to pay for the items or is not able to pay for the items, then we will not be able to define his or her demand. In the same way, if the consumer is able to pay for the items, but he or she is not willing to get them, we will not be able to define his or her demand. In short, for one's demand to be defined, there must be willingness and ability. Okay, so let's now look at the law of demand, which states that other things equal, an increase in a product's price will reduce the quantity of it demanded. And conversely, a decrease in price will cause an increase in the quantity of it demanded. This implies that there is an inverse relationship between the price of a given commodity and its quantity demanded. Okay, so we make an assumption of holding other things equal here, or ceteris paribus, because demand for a product is not only affected by its own price, by the price of that item. It is affected by many other factors that we need to consider in the consideration of what demand is. But all we've done is we've simplified the model when drawing the graph. We are holding all other factors or keeping the influence of other variables constant, and then observe the behavior of quantity demanded when price changes. Okay, so we will turn our focus to the determinants of demand after we look at the distinction between the demand schedule and the demand curve. Okay, so let's look at the demand schedule and the demand curve. So with the demand schedule, a schedule is simply a table, and therefore a demand schedule is a table showing the total quantities of a good or service that buyers wish to buy at each price. And the demand curve is a graph showing the total quantity or total quantities of a good or service that buyers wish to buy at each price. Now, when we say at each price, it means that we have a series of prices, and then we want to consider only a given price. So as we move down the curve, we will be seeing the different amounts of a commodity purchased as prices will be changing. In a visual form, a demand schedule looks like this, where we have prices ranging from 0 to 8 as an example, and the quantity demanded of it reducing from 8,000 down to 0. So when the price is 0, the consumer would want to get 8,000 units. And for the increase in price to 2, the consumer reduces the quantities purchased to 6,000. An increase in price further to 4 leads the consumer to reducing the quantity demanded to 4,000. And if the prices continue to rise, the quantity demanded will continue to fall. Let's plot this data now, which we have in this schedule, on a demand curve. With price on the vertical axis measured in Zambian kwacha, and the quantity demanded measured in thousand on the horizontal axis, we can have the price figures and the quantity demanded figures. Now, we note that when price is 0, quantity demanded is 8,000. Price is 2, quantity demanded will be 6,000, all the way to when price is 8, quantity demanded will become 0. And these, if we plot them, then our data points will look like that. Joining these points together gives us the demand curve. Hence, the demand curve for a product shows that there is an inverse relationship between the price of a commodity and the quantity demanded of it. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, as postulated by the law of demand. Let's now look at the determinants of demand and the quantity demanded. The first determinant we look at is the on price. Then we also have income. We have the price of related goods. We have the taste for the consumer expectations, the number of buyers. Now, you should note that these are not the only determinants of demand. Okay, so let's look at on price. Now, the on price of a commodity affects the quantity demanded, because when drawing the demand curve, we hold other factors constant. Then the change in on price will only affect the quantity demanded of it and not the entire demand for a consumer. So we see that from our previous table or graph, we see that when price is at 8, quantity demanded will be 0. When price changes to 6, quantity demanded increases to 2,000. And for a further reduction in price, quantity demanded increases. Therefore, the change in price will cause a movement along the demand curve. Okay, so the other determinant is the income. Now, the effect of income on the demand for a product differs depending on the nature of the product. Now, in basic,
So that one is not
you
much.
might think that when income increases, your demand will increase.
Here we consider inferior
there are
goods
other
also.
commodities whereby income increases and you end up reducing the demand for that product.
But
As
have a look
such,
on that. But
when
we
looking
consider
at
only the
effect
normal
of
goods. Sorry.
income on the demand for a product, we distinguish between normal goods and inferior goods. Let's start by looking at the normal goods and see the effect. Suppose that you consider meat to be a normal good and that there is an increase in your income as a result of that, with the price on the vertical axis and the quantity demanded on the horizontal axis, we note that with our individual demand, your increase in income for a normal good will cause the demand for meat to increase. And when your demand increases, it means that you will be able to buy more units because your purchasing power has increased. And as such, the demand curve will shift out to the right. So for normal goods, an increase in income leads to an increase in demand. And therefore, the demand curve, that is the entire demand curve, will shift out and to the right. If there is
so that
in
better to have only that, no need too much about the inferior goods. That when income increase, most of the time that we consider about there are some commodities, right? That when income increase, they will demand more. Those commodities that we can identify as normal commodities. That means essential goods, right? That but there are some commodities we call inferior goods that no need to worry about that one. That just to have extra knowledge. That means inferior goods means that depends on the income, right? For some community, some people consider one commodity as inferior as per their income. So say for example, for the middle income people, that we consider fan. So just a fan as a normal commodity, but for the superior class people, they consider the fan as an inferior good because their normal good is air condition. Air condition. So then if their income increase, they will not demand for fans. Then the demand curve will shift to the left hand side. No need to much worry about that. You just concern about only the normal commodities, because if there's a income increase, most probably that will lead for increased demand, right? Increased demand.
If there is a reduction in your income, it means your demand for meat, which we've assumed to be our classic example here, will reduce. And the reduction in your demand will mean that the demand curve will shift down and to the left. Therefore, an increase in income for a normal good increases the demand, and a decrease in income for a normal good reduces the demand. Let's look at the effect of inferior goods. Now, for inferior goods are goods whose demand reduces when your income increases. Now, I will use carpenter here because if you consider carpenter to be an inferior good and meat to be a normal good, it means that when you have more money, you will buy more meat than carpenter. In other words, you will reduce your consumption of carpenter in favor of meat. This means that for a reduction in your income, you will have more incentives to buy an inferior good, which is carpenter. So consider price on the vertical axis and demand on the horizontal axis, and that we are facing a reduction in the income of a consumer. And with a classic example of carpenter here, it means that your demand for carpenter will increase because you will not be able to afford meat. Or if you wanted to buy meat, you will not buy as many quantities as you bought if your income was not affected. Therefore, your increase in income, your reduction in income has caused you to shift your purchases and increase the purchases of carpenter, which is an inferior good. Therefore, the demand for the inferior good will increase when income reduces and the demand curve shifts out and to the right. If there is an increase in your income with our initial demand curve D1, and you have experienced an increase in your income, it means this time around, you will want to switch your purchases to a more preferred commodity or to a normal good, which is say meat in our case. If you buy more meat, it means you will reduce your purchases of carpenter. This means that when your income is high, you will demand less of the inferior good, and therefore the demand curve will shift down and to the left. The other determinant that we can look at is the price of related goods. Now, when looking at the effect of the price of related goods, we distinguish between the substitute goods, for example, Mirinda and Fanta, as well as the complement goods, where we can take the case of bread and butter. Now, let's start by looking at the substitute goods, Mirinda and Fanta. Suppose that the Fanta price has gone up. It means that the quantity demanded for Fanta, holding other Fantas constant, and following the law of demand, the quantity demanded for Fanta will reduce. Because the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So if the price of Fanta goes up, as a consumer, you will reduce your quantity demanded for Fanta, which means that if the price of Mirinda is held constant, and because Mirinda is a substitute good, you will buy more of Mirinda. This means that the demand for Mirinda will increase as a result of the increase in the price of Fanta. In other words, there is a direct relationship between the quantity demanded of a given good and the price of its substitute good. Graphically, with price on the vertical axis and quantity demanded on the horizontal axis and our initial demand curve D1, an increase in the price of Fanta will increase the demand for Mirinda, and therefore the demand curve for Mirinda will shift out and to the right. Conversely, the decrease in the demand for, in the price for Fanta will cause the quantity demanded of Fanta to increase. And as a result, we will notice that people will start shifting away from Mirinda to buying more of Fanta. So this means that the reduction in the price of Fanta has caused a decrease in the demand for Mirinda. And with our initial demand curve D1, then a decrease in the demand for Mirinda will be displayed by a shift in the demand curve down and to the left. Okay, so the other determinant that we'll look at is the taste. So a favorable change in consumers' taste or preferences for a product means that more of it will be demanded at each price. This is because this means that a change which is favorable to the consumer will cause the demand to increase, and the change which is less favorable will cause the demand to reduce. So consider, say, maybe the invention of the introduction of new phones, for example, and the consumer develops a high taste for such a product. It means that with price on the vertical axis and quantity demanded on the horizontal axis, and our initial demand curve T1, the increase in tastes for a product will cause the consumer to demand more of it. And therefore, the demand curve will shift out and to the right to D2. If the consumer, on the other hand, loses interest in a given commodity, maybe because it has gone out of fashion, it means that then the demand for the consumer will shift down and to the left, because demand for it will reduce and the consumer will shift interest to other commodities. We also have expectation as the determinant of demand. Now, with expectations, your expectations about the future may affect your demand for a good or service today. Suppose you expect that the price of, say, Fanta, maybe let's say the price of mini meal will increase tomorrow. You are likely to buy more today to avoid the high price, which will be put tomorrow. Therefore, because the price of a commodity will increase tomorrow, your behavior is to demand more today, and therefore the demand curve will increase, which means that your demand curve will shift to the right because your demand has increased. So graphically, with our initial demand curve D1, because you expect the price of mini meal to be high tomorrow, today your demand for mini meal will be high, and therefore the demand curve will shift out and to the right. And if you expect the price of mini meal to reduce tomorrow, it means that your demand today will reduce because you would want to buy a commodity at a cheaper price tomorrow. And therefore, the demand curve will shift down and to the left today. Now, I like looking at this classic case where you want to go and buy commodities which will be on promotion tomorrow. Think about the situation that you go through. Suppose ShopRite announced that we are going to reduce the prices of a given commodity on Black Friday. People today, their behavior will be that they will reduce the purchases or the demand for those items, and then on the Black Friday, they will buy more of it. And I'm sure you have witnessed the stampede that you will be at the ShopRite entrance doors. This is because consumers are rational, and therefore they want to get the best out of whatever resources they have. Lastly, let's look at the one last determinant, which is the number of buyers. So the number of buyers, if we have an increase in the new bets, for example, of say new bets for newly born babies, it means that the demand for diapers, baby lotion, and under 5 clinic services will increase. And therefore, it means that because we have new babies, the buyers, who are the mothers, will be more. And therefore, because the number of buyers has increased, the demand for a product will also increase. Graphically, with our initial demand curve D1, if we have an increase in the number of buyers, the demand for a product increases, and therefore, the demand curve shifts out and to the right. And for a decrease in the number of buyers, with our demand curve D1, the demand curve will shift down and to the left. Okay, so that is it about the determinants of demand. Let's now look at the demand function. Now, we note that demand for a product is a function of its own price, the price of related goods, the income of consumers, the taste, the population, the expectation, and other factors, including the own price. So now, when we want to plot the demand curve, we will have the own price as the only determinant of demand. Now, when we bring this on a function to include all these, it means that then quantity demanded will be a function of these factors that we've denoted here. Now, this tells you that when we are plotting the demand curve, then we hold all these other factors constant. We keep them constant and only focus on the effect of price on the quantity demanded. And that means that then our quantity demanded becomes the function of price. So the demand curve is drawn by holding all other factors constant and only focus on the effect of price. Okay, so let's now look at the market. That's the market demand. So the market is made up of several consumers, and these consumers have different preferences, have different income levels, have different tastes, and so on. Therefore, it means that if we assume only two households, that is household A and household B, and that we want to see their effect or their behavior on the market with the item, let's assume that individual A demands 3 units when the price is 4, and 4 units when the price is 3, and the household B demands 4 units when the price is 4, and 6 units when the price is 3, then the market demand will be the horizontal summation of these individual household demands. That means in the market, at a price of 4, the market quantity demanded will be 7, which will be 3 plus 4. And when the price reduces to 3.
So, okay, I think that I didn't explain that concept. Up to here, I will explain that that one. Is that okay? Up to here, it's okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So then, actually, that different between the individual demand curve and the market demand curve, right? The individual demand curve means, you know, that with relate to each and every person, right? Each and every person, like that person A, person B, likewise that we can consider about the individual demand curve. Then what does mean by the market demand curve? Market demand curve means that summation. So the summation or the aggregation of all the individual demand curves. So say for example, as in this video explained, when we consider about how can we calculate the market demand curve, by adding A's demand and B's demand, that when we consider about the price that if you want to calculate the market demand, right? Market demand, then here the price under the price of P, price of 3, the market quantity is equals to that you can see under price C, price 3. This one is demanding 4 units. Under 3, this one is demanding 6 units. Okay. Then whole market demand. Whole market demand is equals to therefore 10, right? 10. So that under price 3, if you want to calculate the market demand, we have to sum up. We have to sum up the A demanding 4 units and B demanding 6 units. So therefore, together 6 plus 4 is equals to 10. Right. Then when we consider about the price 4, under price 4, this one is demanding 3, B is demanding 4. So therefore, that under 4, market demand is equals to 7. Right? Market demand is equals to 7. So likewise, difference between individual demand and the market demand. So that market demand means the summation. Right? The summation of the individual demand curves. Right? Okay. Then
the market demand increases to 10, which is a 4 for household A and 6 for household B. Therefore, the market demand is simply the horizontal summation of individual demands. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. If you have questions.
okay, so that then just I explain about the supply, and we'll do in detail in from next week onwards. But I just want to, because now already have good understanding about the demand. So otherwise that may be forgot. I just next week have to start from the beginning. So therefore that
Please send an email to
okay.
Elias.
So, supply, right? As demand also here that supply. To be effective supply, I think that you maybe remember that we should have to compulsorily complete 2 conditions to be effective demand. Effective demand also we need to achieve willingness. We should have to be effective demand compulsory. Compulsory we should have the mandatory. There should be purchasing power, purchasing ability, enough wealth enough to purchase, or the ability to purchase. So likewise, to be effective supply also, suppliers should have ability to produce. Able to sell means actually they should have some sort of ability or capacity to produce. Produce so and as well as willingness to sell out. There should be willingness to sell out and the ability to sell out or ability to produce. Right? Within the given period of time. So that means within the given period of time and the alternative prices is common for both. That in Sinhala also always that when we are explain the definition, we consider දෙනලද කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් තුළදී විවිධ මිල ගණන් යටතේ සැපයුම් කරුවන් විසින් සපයන ලබන විවිධ භාණ්ඩ සැපයුම් කරුවන් හට විවිධ මිල ගණන් යටතේ සැපයීමට හැකි භාණ්ඩ ප්‍රමාණය අපි ගඳුරා ගන්නවා සැපයම කියලා. So that when we consider about the definition in English, under the given time period at alternative prices, the quantity that firms or business organizations or the sellers are willing and able to sell, can identify as supply. So as usual that like that, can you maybe that you remember the determinants of the demand, the price of the considerable commodity, then the price of other related commodity, population, then the future expectations, and also that income, taste, all other demand determinants. So likewise, when we consider about the supply also determine, right? Determine or that to determination of supply, there are different factors have a impact. So that we should have to consider about the cost of production. Cost of production. So you know that when you are producing commodities under first session, and the first session I already explained about those factors of production. Factors of production. So that whatever the commodity, if we want to produce, we need those resources. Those resources are factors of production, like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So that we have to pay for that. If you want to produce a commodity, definitely we need laborers. We need to pay for that. So that we need machineries, capital. So then, likewise, then we have to consider about the cost of capital. Cost of capital, then technology. So the technology means actually the way of producing commodities. So that whether we use more laborers or we use more machineries. So that what sort of technology? What sort of technology that we wish to use? That is technology. Then the prices of other goods not much consider. So say for example, like that if you want to produce that telephones, like that landlines, land phones, most of the time we need some other peripherals like the wire cords we need, then the router we need, the sort of things we consider here as the price of other goods. Then the seller's expectation. So that if seller is always wish to earn more profit, then they will add more profit margin. So then you have to consider about those factors when we are producing. Number of organizations. If there's large number of organization in the economy, so that means there may be huge supply, right? That huge supply, the supply may be increased. So then government policies, so that whether government if government imposed tax, right? Imposed as tax, so then will reduce supply. But if government declare a subsidy, so like fertilizer subsidy, that maybe the farmers will increase their harvest because the government will give more subsidy, then they will increase supply of agricultural products. Then the favorable weather condition. You know that if there's a favorable weather condition, definitely for the like agricultural sector products, that may be increase supply. So that if there's a unhealthy, unfavorable work conditions, that may be reduced. That may be reduce the supply. So likewise, we can consider the different factors which are affecting to determine supply. So like earlier, we consider about the demand curve, low of demand. Here also we can consider even though all these factors have an impact on determination of supply, out of all these factors, we can consider the price of the considerable commodity is really important. Really important. Therefore, the law of demand. This is the like general supply, general demand equation. By considering all these factors, we can have the general supply function also, right? Px mean price of considerable commodity. C mean cost of inputs. T technology. Pn price of other related commodities. Ex organization expectation or business expectation. N number of organizations. G government policies. W weather condition, right? So then though there are a number of factors affecting as determinants, here with the law of demand. Law of demand consider about the relationship between the price and the quantity. right? Price and the quantity that as we observed under law of demand, there's inverse relationship. Inverse relationship between price and quantity. So when price increase, quantity decrease, and price decrease, quantity increase. So that's why we identify there's inverse or negative relationship due to substitution impact and the substitution effect or income effect. Substitution effect or income effect. So like for us that when we consider about the law of supply, there's positive relationship. There's positive relationship when price increase, quantity also increase, right? So that means here, if we draw the, this also can explain by using schedule, curve or equation. And when we draw the curve, supply curve, that you can see that they already have positive slope, right? Already have positive slope. Then when we consider about the demand supply schedule, we can that already clearly shows, clearly explain the positive relationship. When price increase, quantity also increase, right? Quantity also increase. So likewise, as maybe that you remember, why there's inverse relationship between price and quantity, because of the income effect and the substitution effect. That real income reduce when price increase, and when price increase, those who are consuming particular product will shift to other markets, other substitutes. So that's why there's inverse relationship between price and quantity. So likewise, then we need to know about the reasons why there's positive relationship between price and supply. When price increase, why supply increase? So the positive relationship. So because you know that organization already have profit motive. If they can earn more profit, when price increase, you know that we can have more income. So therefore, the suppliers willing to supply more. That is one reason. Because organizations already have profit motive, when price increase, they willing to supply more. So therefore, between price and supply, already have positive relationship. Another reason also that those who are the new entrants, new organization, if new organizations observe that existing firms earning higher profit, then what they will do, they also enter into the market. They will also enter into the market while enhancing the supply. If there's large number of organization in the market, means definitely supply will increase. So due to these reasons, when price increase, supply also increase. All right. So then, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then I think that last two slides, as per that movements along the curve, movements along the demand curves and the demand shifters. Demand shifters here also. Here also that we can identify changes in quantity, or in otherwise we can identify it as movements along the curve and supply shifters. Curve and supply shifters. So that movements along the curve means, yeah, you can see when price increase, that the movements along the curve, for the movements along the curve impact only the price. Though there are large number of determinants to determine supply. When we consider about the price, you know the price, that's why the law of supply also we should have to separately learn. Out of other all factors, or price or concern as the considerable factor. Then when price increase, you know that the contract supply increase. So that way there may be the upward trend of the curve. And if there's a price reduction, downward trend in the supply curve. So likewise, if there's only price change of considerable commodity, that will lead to movements along the curve. So other than to the price, if there's any change in other factors, so like that, the input prices increase, then a bad weather condition, increase of number of organizations. Then if you concern about the positive, that or the outward or right hand side shift, there are a lot of factors will affect. Reduce of cost of production, favorable health condition, advancements of technology, increase of number of organizations, so favorable weather conditions. So that sort of things will shift the supply curve to right hand side. And when we consider about the other factors, how that means the same factors, direction we change due to, that means the supply curve will shift to left hand side due to unfavorable weather conditions, increase of cost of production, reduce of number of organizations, that government, if government impose some tax, so then that sort of things. And the sort of things we shift to supply curve to left hand side. So that's about the supply side. Then the market equilibrium and the things and the calculations we'll do from next week onwards. Then actually that supply side also I will refresh again in next week or whatever that already fixed the next class. So that before winding up, Chinta, do we have anything to clarify?
No, ma'am.
So okay, then if possible that better to that circulate those incident, but if you don't have any method to circulate, we'll see that we can ask them to next day to write down. Okay, please remind me.
Okay.
So okay, then good night.
Good night, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.